Planets in your first house are a pretty big deal. They're all about identity, how you project yourself, and yes, how your business brand feels to the world. In this video, I'm going to show you how planets in your first house of identity are impacting your brand and your message, and how you can work with them to set yourself apart in your business. Welcome back. I'm Sophia Palace, and I'm an online business strategist and copywriter who uses the ancient wisdom of astrology to help you bring out the best in your business. Today, we are focusing on one of the most personal parts of your astrology chart, the first house. This is the house of identity, the house of self-presentation, and for entrepreneurs and business owners, this is the crux of your personal brand. Even if you are new to astrology, understanding planets in your first house is going to make a lot of sense. It's really about who you are and how you want to be seen and how you are naturally seen by others. So if you have planets here, they are giving your brand and your message a unique flavor, and it's important that you understand that so you can work with it and potentially amplify it in your business. If you are new here and you don't understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying the first house, go and check out my video on the 12 houses of the astrology chart. I'll link to that here. And if you need to set up a free astrology chart, I also have a link to a video where I guide you through that process in the show notes or the description box below. So let's walk you through an overview of the first house. The first house is sometimes called the ascendant or the rising sign. This is the sign that was rising over the eastern horizon at the time and place you were born. So this is what is considered to be the most personal part of your astrology chart, and it is related to the time you were born, not just the day. So it's really important for you to know that information to understand which zodiac sign is directing your first house. So this is the house that defines your appearance even. It defines how you naturally show up in the world and how others perceive you. In business, this becomes your brand identity, right? You have the qualities of the sign that directs your first house and the planet that rules that first house. And I have a whole video on your chart ruler and your personal brand, which you can check out if you want more on that. But when we are looking at any planets in the first house, we are looking at qualities that you are almost compelled to express. These are energies that other people can see instantly, whether they're just visiting your website, whether they're scrolling through your social media feed, or they're actually physically meeting you for the first time. It happens without you realizing these qualities are coming through. So if you have planets in this house, and I want to preface this by saying that not everyone will have planets in the first house. I certainly do not. If you know your astrology chart and you know you have planets in the first house, this video is for you. Also, if you want to understand people that you know who have planets in the first house, this is also really helpful. This is an example of a chart where the client has planets in the first house. So not everyone will have planets in the first house. You can listen to the video thinking about the planetary ruler of your chart. So for instance, a chart with Pisces rising like this one is ruled by Jupiter. So you can listen for that. But this is specifically about planets in the first house. So this chart has Venus, the Sun, and Mars all in the first house. So that means something specific for this person's brand identity. And that's what I want you to listen for or watch for in this video. Now, not everyone will have planets in the first house or planets in every house. So even in this chart, you can see there are houses that have no planets in, like the second house, the seventh house, the 11th house, the fourth house. That's okay, totally okay. It doesn't mean anything is missing. It doesn't mean that you can't access those parts of your chart. It just means that when you have planets in that house has extra emphasis, and you want to understand the meaning of those planets in that place. in your chart. And we're looking at the first house today because the first house is that point of identity, of personality, and of branding. And we really want to understand, if you have planets in that first house, what they mean for how you show up. So planets in the first house are going to give you, your brand, a noticeable magnetic quality. And it's almost like this natural style you can't help but bring to your work. And each planet, we're going to go through each planet's influence here, is going to bring a different energy to your brand identity. And it's going to shape how you're received and what makes you stand out in the market. So again, I just want to clarify, not everyone is going to have planets in their first house. Don't stress if you don't have planets in the first house. You will have planets in some houses in your astrology chart. And at a later date, I will walk through planets in each of the 12 houses. But for right now, notice if you or if someone that you know has planets in their first house, this is what you can do to help you harness this energy in your business branding and your messaging. Let's walk through each of the planets in the first house and their impact on your brand identity. If you know which planets are in this house, listen closely to see how these might be showing up in your business. If you've got a copy of your astrology chart with you, even better, you can cross-check this. If you have the sun in the first house, if, for instance, you are a Gemini rising and you have the sun in Gemini, it will be in your first house. I use the whole sign house system. That means each sign is one house. You cannot be, for instance, a Gemini rising with the sun in Gemini in the second house. If you have the sun in Gemini, the sun would be in the first house. I hope that makes sense. I know some of you are using different systems. That's totally okay. But when you are watching this video, just be aware that I am talking about the whole sign house system. So if you have the sun in the first house, you are a natural born leader, and that will radiate through your brand. Your business likely has this warm, confident, vibrant vibe, and it makes people feel drawn to you. And this doesn't matter if you are a Leo sun sign, where the sun is very much at home, like in a Leo rising sign and the Leo sun, or if you're a Scorpio rising with a Scorpio sun, the effect is the same. The sun will bring its vibrancy to that first house. There's also this very authentic, what you see is what you get quality to having the sun in the first house. And you're probably very comfortable putting yourself at the forefront of your brand. If you have the moon in the first house, the moon is bringing this nurturing, intuitive energy to your brand identity. So if you've got this placement, your brand likely feels emotionally connected and compassionate. And again, it doesn't matter what sign this is happening in. The influence of the moon is going to flavor your brand identity. So you might attract clients who feel really seen by you and emotionally connected to you. And your messaging tends to resonate on this deeper, more personal level, or even a subconscious level. You are the kind of brand that people feel they can open up to if you have the moon in the first house. If you have Mercury, the planet of communication, trade, thinking, processing, it's quite a fast-moving planet, and you have this planet in the first house, this is going to give you a sharp, communicative edge, the planet of communication in the first house. So you are probably great with words, and your brand likely reflects this with maybe a lively and engaging tone of voice. Maybe you are a fast talker and that comes across. Maybe you're really good with information and you're known for that, handling lots of information. That's a very mercurial skill. So you might also be known for your witty insights. You might be known for a unique perspective, and people will see you as a brand that's intelligent, quick thinking, relatable. Those are those qualities of Mercury. If you have Venus in the first house, Venus is going to bring this sense of beauty, harmony, and a sense of ease to your brand personality and your brand identity. So if you've got Venus here, your brand is likely stylish, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, your brand will probably have style. It's visually appealing, and it's just maybe a little bit luxurious. There's that sense about it. This doesn't mean you have to be in the beauty industry at all. It's more that your brand identity is about creating an experience that's visually appealing and inviting, and it makes clients feel valued and appreciated and connected. That's what that Venus, the planet of beauty, the planet of connection, the planet of relationship, that's what that planet is bringing to your first house. If you have Mars in the first house, this Mars is the planet of action, of drive, of energy, of courage. If you have Mars in the first house, this brings a boldness to your brand. So if you've got Mars here, your brand probably feels quite assertive and dynamic and even direct. You're the kind of business that takes action. You're known for having a business that takes action. Your brand is potentially motivational even. It's not afraid to challenge the status quo, and your clients likely feel inspired to kind of step up their game when they work with you. Moving on to the outer planets now, and we'll start with Jupiter in the first house. So with Jupiter in your first house, your brand feels expansive. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of wisdom and abundance and growth. So if you have Jupiter here, you've got this sense of positivity, of optimism about your brand. It's expansive, it's growth oriented, and people likely see you or your brand as a bit of a big thinker or a visionary. Your business might feel generous. It might feel abundant as well. So the brand identity has this abundance to it in some way, this generosity to it, this vision. This is the brand that people are going to go to when they're ready for growth, when they want to be expanded, or they're looking for inspiration. If you have Jupiter there. If you've got Saturn in the first house, don't freak out. Saturn is the planet of boundary and restriction, and we often see it as the big bad guy in the sky. But Saturn is not the bad guy. Saturn brings structure, Saturn brings reliability, and a sense of authority. So if you have Saturn in the first house, your brand likely feels solid and trustworthy and structured. So clients probably see you as an expert who's here for the long term, someone who's dedicated and committed to providing real value. That's the Saturn qualities coming through. So you are the brand that is all about quality, structure, and showing up consistently if you've got Saturn there. If you have Uranus in the first house, this is the planet of originality. This is the planet of change and disruption and innovation even. So if you've got Uranus in your first house, your brand likely feels quite unconventional. There's some innovative quality to it, or is even a bit rebellious. People are drawn to you for your fresh ideas, for your unique perspectives, or for some out-of-the-box solutions. And your business is going to stand out because it does things differently. So that's something that you can really harness and embrace in your brand identity, that you do things differently. If you've got Neptune in the first house, it's a dreamy planet. It's an intuitive planet. So with Neptune here, there is a dreamy, intuitive quality to your brand. You're probably a natural at creating experiences that feel magical or otherworldly or dreamlike. So you might have clients that see your brand as a place of inspiration and deep emotional resonance. Neptune brings this kind of soft, compassionate energy that people can feel on a subconscious level. Neptune in the first house can also indicate maybe that you're known for your musical or your artistic ability in some way as well. Neptune is often associated with the arts and particularly music. So that might be coming through strongly in your brand identity, or it might be part of what you're working with in your brand identity and your messaging. If you have Pluto in the first house, now this is the planet of death and rebirth. It's the planet of change and transformation and power. So if you have Pluto here, your brand likely feels powerful and transformative. People are drawn to you for change, for evolution, and the kind of growth that isn't superficial. This is deep work that you're here for. Deep and powerful work. So you might feel like your business attracts clients who are ready to go deep and experience something profound. This is your part of your brand identity. People are drawn to you for these reasons. And I want to touch on if you have more than one planet in the first house, as some people will. Some people might have a lineup of planets in the first house. And that is very powerful for your brand because it's like all of those planets are on display. All of those elements are on display. So think about that combination of planets and how that might be affecting your brand. They're not only drawn to you because you're vibrant, like this, the sun's vibrancy is there You're a natural leader. You also have connected with people through that Venus energy. They feel very connected with you. They really enjoy the aesthetics of your brand. And also they like the way you communicate. You're also known for communicating in a way that maybe because it's maybe connected to Venus, it may be that you communicate in a beautiful way. This is how the planets' interactions together can add another layer onto your understanding of your chart. So when you work with the energy of the planets in your first house, you're aligning your brand with who you genuinely are. And this brings authenticity, which clients can sense and are naturally drawn to. And the more you understand these placements, the more you dive into your astrology chart and get an understanding of what's going on there for you and how it's impacting your business, the more confidently you can feel in expressing your brand identity fully and unapologetically. And this is what I want for you. I want you to feel like you are able to be fully expressed in your business. Let me know if you have planets in your first house in the comments below, or send me a message. I would love to know how this energy is playing out for you. And now that you understand how planets in your first house may be impacting your brand, it's time to take a deeper dive into the rest of your chart. So if you want to understand how all of the houses shape your business, check out my video on the 12 houses of business astrology, which is coming up next for a run through of each one.